My pathway to sport for development is really rooted in my own experience in sports in the U.S. Played in sports all the way through university and grad school, and I studied anthropology as an undergrad. So, I was playing sports, I was studying anthropology, and I was thinking about the cultural meaning of sport and how sport impacts people's lives and personal development and things like that. So stepping back a bit, when I chose to study international development, so my PhD is in development studies, um, I wanted to learn more about the development side of sport for development. My hope and sort of aspiration for my work is that it helps to bridge the gap between the development side and the sports sectors. Well, when the Journal of Sport for Development came out, I was really excited because it is so focused on sport for development. We didn't have an outlet like that before in the field. I think it's great that it's open access, so that leaves it open to people in the global South. And I think that I've seen a lot of global South voices in that research, and that's really important. So that's encouraging. And I think the research is high quality. It's critical. There's a global reach to it. And I'm thinking of, there's a specific article that to me was very influential from 2016. It was Ben Sanders' essay, The Own Goal in Sport for Development. And he was really challenging the field to be a stronger advocate for social and economic and policy change. And I thought that was really insightful and important, and it helped me progress my own research. I would characterize my work as focused on gender equality first and foremost, um, and applying a gender lens across the field of sport for development so that it doesn't sit in isolation as a theme. So I want my work to challenge gender roles and stereotypes and these tired notions about girls and women in sport that exist across different cultures. I mean, they exist differently in different places and environments, but they're pretty rigid in sport. So I think it's really critically important that we look for sport for development and all sport studies really through a gender lens. So because everything is built on a binary gender division, it creates a lot of difficulties for people. An area of sport for development that I want to explore further is really focused on menstruation and menstrual health in sport for development. So when I first started doing sport for development research, I was focused on adolescent girls and trying to understand what their experiences are, what are their challenges and barriers. And a lot of the research that's coming out now, this is becoming a more popular topic, and that's really good, but a lot of it tends to be focused on products and sort of the technical solution and hygiene and these kinds of things. And that's important. But what we do know is the underlying stigma and shame and taboo is really, that's the fundamental problem. And that leads to all of these other fears and problems. So I think that often is misunderstood or overlooked. And we're trying to get to that so that we can better support people. So watch this space. There's more coming, publication pending, on these important projects with development and sport for development, as well as with coaches on menstruation and sport. The advice I would give to early career researchers in sport for development and in any field, but thinking about sport for development specifically, I think local partners are key, especially if you're a global North researcher working in the global South. There's just so much situated knowledge from local partners and the networks that they have and the resources they have. So finding a good partnership and mentorship is really key. I would say be flexible and adaptable, because working in developing countries can be very, yeah, a lot of things don't go to plan. So that's okay. You have to be ready for that. So for the parents out there, especially the moms, but all the parents, just remember it's a marathon and not a sprint. When I started out, my 5-year plan for a PhD turned into a 10-year plan, and I missed that deadline by a year. But I have 2 beautiful children who are happy and healthy, and you just have to find your own path. And don't forget that as a parent, you actually have a researcher knowledge that you might not get otherwise. We work so often with kids and families in sport for development. And I think, there's room to reflect on that and to understand that as a parent, and for me as a parent of girls, I have a different perception of the research I'm doing and with other girls around the world. In the future of sport for development, I see, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, I would have probably a very different answer. But, it looks like all of the research funding is really being focused in on post-pandemic support, which as it should be. I think it's going to be tricky. I think resources are going to be scarce. It's going to be difficult to get funding, not only for research, but also for the practitioner groups, our NGO partners. They're going to feel the pinch on that as well with their resources. So, the future, I'm thinking about some of the things that are coming out right now with like the IWG, the International Working Group for Women in Sport, which is a partner of UNESCO, just put out a call to action to protect funding and initiatives on gender equality in sport. So staying in my wheelhouse with gender equality, it is often girls and women that suffer the most in the wake of a crisis. And so I think we need to look out for that. And hopefully in Sport for Development, we can be a part of the solution to that, or part of addressing the situation for so many developing countries. It's going to be really rough. My favorite Sport for Development project, I would say I would have to look first to the Women Win Foundation, which is an outstanding organization. They have their headquarters is in Amsterdam, where I used to work and study, and I've done teaching partnerships and research partnerships with them. They are excellent. They are experts at what they do. They have outstanding local partners all around the global South. So they're really a standout in my mind.